All right, we are back. It's about 8:19 on Thursday, September 4th. This is the It's Your Perspective Talk Show. My name is David, a.k.a. Christian, alongside
Campbell Sukata.
That's it right there, man. As promised, we have Dan McIntosh in the studio tonight. There he is. Welcome to the studio, Dan, the high-tech, low-tech studio.
Thank you.
Dan is the chairperson for the VI Career and Technical Education Board, and there's a lot that I guess comes underneath that. And Dan is here to just sort of put it all together, have it make sense to all of us. So Dan, sort of, I guess, start out with a little bit of where we are with the technical education in the Virgin Islands public school system here.
Well, first of all, David and Campbell, I certainly want to express my deep appreciation, and certainly from the standpoint of the board, we're also thankful for this great opportunity that we have to just share some information with the public.
You're welcome.
Career and technical education in the Virgin Islands for quite some time had certainly been struggling. We continue to lose programs because sometimes we have individuals who retire. When they retire, it's difficult to fill those positions. At least that's what we are being told by education. And so over the last few years, we have been attempting to bridge that gap, find a way that we can begin to come up with some creative ways to make sure that we can still keep those programs alive. The more we lose those programs, the more we lose many of our youngsters, and particularly our males. So we're busy about trying to make sure that we're providing viable programs, up-to-date programs, making sure that we're meeting demands, having programs that actually respond to the demand occupations, high wage, high tech, and that's where the world is today.
Right.
And so we've been busy on the board just working at seeking ways to help to keep those programs active in the schools.
Then, how long now has the board? I mean, do you take care of the day program and the adult program and the night too also?
There's an influence that the board has with regard to evening programs. We make sure that if individuals want to teach, sometimes one of the responsibilities that the board has is to make sure that people are certified to teach.
Right.
And so the board is just one of its responsibilities, and I have a few just that I'm going to make a highlight of. That's one of the key responsibilities that the board has, is to make sure that people are certified, to teach. So if a person is teaching in the daytime and they don't have a certification, then it stands to reason that they should not be teaching at night either.
Okay.
Talk a little bit about, I know at one point you were involved with the CTEC program at Complex. Is that program still in place, or has it been replaced by something else?
The program has certainly fizzled. They attempted, this is the Department of Education, they attempted to actually keep it alive. In my opinion, I think that it was a little bit too late. And also, they did not spend sufficient time in making sure that they understood what was necessary to keep it going. And so when the refinery closed, and the opportunity for students to get full scholarships from the refinery went away, and certainly we lost the impetus for the program, and many of the students, they did not stay because there was a bit of a lapse between the close of the school year 2012 to the beginning of the school year in 2013. So there was no ongoing progress made with regard to keeping the program alive. So we essentially lost it, and it was really sad.
Okay. And so lost it, so there's nothing like this happening right now, so there's no technical education at the school at all?
There are technical programs. It's just not in the area of instrumentation, electrical, mechanical. If they are seeking to do those, it's really fledgling at this point. And I happen to have spoken to one of the instructors just 2 days ago, and nothing has happened as yet. They have not been informed as to whether they'll be continuing. And if you don't recruit students, if you don't pull students in from junior high school, you're not going to have a program. And so all of the frameworks that kept the program running is no longer there. So we're hopeful that we can actually jumpstart it and reinstitute it and build it into a strong program as it was before.
Okay. Okay.
So Central High still has the vocational aspect of it, like the carpentry, air condition, nursing, business, all of that. Is that part of what you still cover too, Dan?
Yes, the board oversees all career and technical education in all of the schools, and yes, Central High School does still have some of its programs operational, and I can't speak specifically because Central High did close for a little bit
Right.
because of that issue that they had. From what I was told, it has reopened. And so we're at a point where we need to do an audit, and we will be walking through all of these schools and identifying what programs we have, how we can assist, and how we can strengthen those programs.
I recall when I was going to Central High, we had everything right there at Central. I used to do the air conditioning right in my classroom. Carpentry, the same thing. Electronics, the nursing component, and the plumbing, industrial maintenance, and all of that stuff. I know in the past, the students from Central were going to Complex to do the vocational. Is that still happening right now? If it's still in place?
Campbell, there are some programs that are offered at the Career and Technical Education Center that are not offered at Central High School.
Okay.
So because of the close proximity of the school, and it's just a matter of maybe inside of a 10-minute ride on the
Right.
bus, students do get bused to take some of their programs. Sometimes they start, depending on the semester, they would begin classes at the Career and Technical Education Center for a CTE program, if it's maybe a cosmetology program or probably an electrical program. And then after that period is over, the bus is there, pick them up, take them up to the next class. I wish that something different can be done. I think the
Right.
busing is okay, but the problem that you have is there are only 5 minutes between classes. And if you, from the time a student walks, particularly at the Career and Technical Education Center, it's quite a bit of a walk. So by the
Yes.
time they sort of walk around and chit chat a little bit, they've eaten up the 5 minutes just getting from there to the bus out front. And so typically, I would say a student loses anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes every day in a class.
Just
Either going from Complex to Central High School
back and
or
forth, vice versa.
okay. Okay. So what kind of programs is covered under the Career and Technical Education Board? Plumbing, carpentry, any kind of technical computer type classes?
Absolutely. Every type of career and technical education program. When we talk about careers, we're talking about any student who is in school certainly is prepared, or at least is being prepared for a career.
Right.
That career might be in education, that career might be in nursing, that career might be in information technology, telecommunications. All of those programs are to be administered by the CTE board, both in St. Thomas and in St. Croix. So we basically are at a point where we're having to evaluate those programs, look at the ones that are struggling, find ways to improve them, identify where there might be some need for professional development among teachers, and seek to provide with some of the funding that we have, provide some of that support so that we can have better functioning programs at all of the schools.
Okay. Okay. We have a question here. I guess in a sense, someone's sort of asking. I guess their thought is that maybe we don't have a great technical school here in St. Croix, and what could be done to get one. I don't know if that just sort of paraphrasing what they're asking here.
Okay. In St. Croix, what we have is the St. Croix Career and Technical Education Center, which is located at the complex. Now, for most of the individuals who have not gone to that school, they may consider that we don't have a strong technical school. And it certainly just all depends on what the
So
the
then,
person might be referring to.
So then, is that a separate component besides from complex the educational side of it? Is that a whole different entity by itself?
It's not particularly a whole separate entity, albeit all that happens on the current education side is strictly that.
Okay.
You have auto mechanics. Hopefully, they'll get the diesel program going again. I understand that someone was in fact hired. You have business programs. You have agricultural programs. You have carpentry. You have plumbing. You have electricity. You have AutoCAD, which is drafting.
Right.
So you have all of those programs, and that's all that happens over there.
And do you still have the aviation program in place too?
The aviation program is at a point where it was introduced last
Yes.
semester. What the board is in the process of doing is seeking a certified and approved curriculum that the FAA has approved in a school in the U.S. This is what the board has said to the district. If you want to operate a good maintenance program, if you want to do an aviation maintenance, which would
Right.
result ultimately in an A&P license, then that means airframes and power plants license.
Right.
While it might be introductory at the secondary school level, they need to make sure we have an approved curriculum. What we're doing, we're actually getting ready to visit a school in Kentucky. It's called the Academy at Shawnee. It was recommended to the board and the school. And so we're going to go take a look at their programs, look at their aviation. They have an aerospace program there, a whole academy of aerospace, and they also have a ANP, which is airframes and power plants training. So we want to go look at that, and we want to identify their curriculum, and we've already made contacts with them. I spoke to an individual there just 2 days ago.
Okay.
So that is going to be a reality. It's a very, very good program, albeit we want to be sure that the students are getting what they should get in such a technical field. So we don't want to just simply have a curriculum developed. For instance, I was trained in welding.
Right.
I can sit down and write a whole curriculum for welding. But if I wanted to satisfy the requirements of, let's say, the federal government, if I want to satisfy the requirements of the industry, it's best for me to actually secure a curriculum that would expose the students to just what the industry is expecting.
Okay. Okay.
And so that's what we're doing with the aviation program.
Okay.
So in short, we do have the makings of a good technical school. Some programs are being offered at Central High School.
Some I see.
And then a good bit of them at the CTEC Center. There are also some CTE related programs that are being offered at the complex.
Okay.
All right. So to answer the person's question, yes, we do, and we just need to actually improve what we're offering in some of the programs.
Okay. Okay. So this will be, I guess, for example, the aviation. So if that gets approved, that'll be for high school kids and then also adult education as well, or is it just one or the other?
Yes, the school intends to offer it to adults as well. Some of the discussions that we've had with them, they wanted not only to have a lab, but they also wanted to transition into having two programs. They wanted to have a private aircraft license training so that individuals can secure their private aircraft license as well as the airframes and power plants license. So those are two strands that they're wanting to do, and they do want to offer it in the evening as well as during the day.
Okay.
Are you thinking about doing piloting, or this is part of it too?
Piloting?
Yes.
You mean, in other words, a private aircraft license?
Yes.
Yes, they're seeking to do that. Matter of fact, over the last few years, they have in fact connected with two organizations. One prominent, which is the OBAP, which is an organization of black airline pilots. And what they have been doing is they've been doing summer camps. Both
Summer
in
camps?
St. Thomas, yes. They've done summer camps in St. Thomas, and they've done summer camps over here in St. Croix, I think this year for the first time. And what's happening is those students are actually flying. I mean, we're talking 15 and 16-year-olds. 17-year-olds. They're getting an opportunity to get up in an aircraft and fly, with a pilot.
With an instructor, yeah.
With an instructor.
Okay.
And so I think it's it's very good, it's strong. We just need to make sure. I am one of the persons that do not believe, and I'm sure that I'm speaking for all the other board members, I do not believe in just creating a program just because we want one.
Right.
We need to create a program and make sure that we're going to meet the benchmarks and satisfy the requirements of the industry. The FAA governs the industry with regard to aeronautics.
Right.
So why don't we satisfy their requirements and then make sure that what our students are exposed to is not something that used to be done 20 years ago. We want to expose them to what's happening right now.
And then too, that when they come out of that, they could go into a marketable job, a marketable career, and prepare them for a career, right?
Absolutely, that is the plan. Whenever we develop a program, here are some things that need to happen. One, we need to make sure we have an approved curriculum. Two, we need to make sure that the industry, there is an industry certification, or there's an industry recognized, or even a nationally recognized type of a certification that comes along with it. In this case, since we're talking about aviation, we're talking about FAA. Then what we want to do is we want to be absolutely sure, this is what the federal government demands, we want to be absolutely sure that we have a post-secondary connection. In other words, if we're going to put some students through an A&P, if we cannot give them the test here,
right,
we want to make sure that they can go on to a technical school and move to the next step. And so if we can have an articulation agreement, if we can have dual credit, then that's viable. That's what we want.
Okay.
So that the student does not end in high school and then
just
drops off,
right,
or does probably loses interest. We want to make sure that they have a pathway that'll lead them into college, and that's what we talk about: college and career readiness.
Okay. So as you're trying to get this curriculum approved, I mean, does the local government have to get involved with this at all, or is just you guys go up there, take a look at it, it meets the requirements, and then is it in a sense a done deal?
It would be a done deal once we do two things. Once the board takes a look at it and the board is satisfied, once the Department of Education gets a look at it and we're all satisfied, then the school can actually use it.
Okay.
So we are the approving body. The board is the approving body, and certainly we're going to work in partnership with the Department of Education to make sure that it meets their guidelines. And more than likely, if it meets our guidelines, certainly it'll meet theirs, because we're looking at the same guidelines from the feds and from the industry.
Okay.
So the dollar goes to the night school with the technical, in the technical program. Do they already have a diploma, or they are seeking a high school diploma also?
Some individuals are pursuing high school diplomas. Some are pursuing a GED. All right. So some people are in the GED program, and the GED program has been revitalized. I think
right,
it has been changed. Probably getting a little bit more in line with the direction that the national departments are going. The National Education Department, which is what they refer to as the Common Core. All of the states that have signed on to Common Core, and so GED is in line with the Common Core, and then also there are some who are doing the high school. Some you can do night school, complete your high school diploma.
Okay.
As well. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk a little bit about, as you said, that I guess the board is sort of on its own, and the actual Department of Education doesn't need to get involved in a sense. I mean, they are going to be involved, but I guess the board has the final say. And I guess you're saying too that there's a good chance that it will be approved. So I mean, once it's approved, I mean, is it going to take a very long time to get implemented and in place?
No, one of the things that we were informed about, we believe, and we raised it with Commissioner Fred Gregory and the team. Do they have within the department an approval process for the launching of programs? Heretofore, what has been happening is schools have been starting programs, and that is not appropriate in my opinion. A school should not start a program. The department should start a program. I mean, every one of the states right now, no school can launch a program that has not been, properly vetted by the Board of Education or that district.
Right.
And so why should we allow students to be exposed to a program that just got started at a school? Matter of fact, in some states, I spoke to someone today from Philadelphia. They said every program that goes into a school, number one, it has to be approved by the state. And the state demands that it must have industry recognized type certifications.
Right.
So we need to operate from that standpoint. It protects our students. It ensures that our students are getting what they need to get. So that's why it's important now, and I think that we have a great opportunity, and it's probably going to be a short-lived one because we're in the political season. So the current commissioner, we don't know what's going to happen beyond the 31st of December, right? But at this point, I have to say, and I said it in the committee hearing, the finance committee hearing last Thursday, that the CT board, wants to thank Commissioner Fred Gregory, Donna Fred Gregory, because in our last meeting with her, she created an excellent atmosphere for us to partner together. And I am one individual. I do not believe in one-upmanship. I do not believe in standalones. Right now in the world, everyone works together. Nations work together. It's time for us to come away from the silos that we have been working in. It has not benefited our community, nor has it benefited our students, nor has it benefited our efforts.
Okay.
So we need to work together. We need to collaborate. We need to work together. When that happens, and I'm talking real collaboration. It's not about, the CT board. It's not about the board members.
Right.
It's about what we are here to do to serve the students and to serve the school, to work in partnership with the Department of Education. So I'm one person. I'm going to fight every battle to get away from the silos. I don't want to work separate and apart from anyone else.
Right.
We're inextricably linked. Education is one, and we need to work together to make sure that our students are getting the best possible opportunity.
Dan, what about, are they creating any new markets for like culturally, like fishing, stuff like we do locally here? I don't know if they're creating a market also for the mahogany wood to ship out, to make furniture, or all of those things. Are that part of is that part of the curriculum?
Currently, the only avenue that and I would have to say to those who are maybe teaching carpentry, we cannot be tunnel vision. I think that carpentry teachers, those who are doing woodwork, that's what they should be doing. They should be actually expanding and introducing our students to the use of be it the mahogany wood, some of the local resources that we have here.
Right.
Sometimes we don't think that broad. And are there cultural programs with regard to CTE? I would have to say no. But it is important for every teacher in a classroom to say, okay, how do I bring the reality of our community into my
the
classroom?
Right.
That is the responsibility of a teacher, and they have to think broad-based. They cannot just look at what's in the book and not recognize that we're somewhat insular, and so you have a number of things. You have the conch shell. I've seen some people do some stuff with coconut shells and conch shells. They're incredible.
Incredible, yes.
And all we have to do is to introduce our students to it and get them involved every year and doing a project. Do something with the conch shell. Get them in and say, this year, this is what we're going to build. We're going to build lamps using the conch shell. I saw a gentleman just about a few months ago, and that's what he's doing. And he takes all of these conch shells that he made into lamps, and take them out down to the
that's a kind of very unique kind of talent there. And so he makes that and sells that.
Yes, he takes it. He takes it down to the cruise ship dock whenever the ships are in.
Okay.
And that's what we need to do for our students.
Another thing too, Dan, since we're surrounded by water, I for some reason this just kind of beholds me that we don't tap into the water. We don't really have a marine industry. Is this one of the avenues that the city board is looking into also?
I'm glad you mentioned that. well, one of our board members is Richard DeFede, and I hope that, I'll stop and take some time in just a minute and just talk about who those board members are at this point. But Richard DeFede is the president, I believe, of Gold Coast Yachts, and has always been interested in assisting in the schools. And
Right.
when I first met him, I was at the school, and we had a boat building program, and he was very much interested in that. So the marine industry needs to be revitalized from a school standpoint.
Right.
I looked at some information today from an accredited organization that they have just rolled out some new marine related, and David, that's NCCR.
Okay.
They just rolled out some they have a partnership with a national marine organization,
Okay.
and they're rolling out curriculum materials for the marine industry. So, good question, Campbell. We are looking at it. We have not focused on it. What we have been trying to focus on is those areas that we do have existing and what needs to be done to strengthen them.
Okay.
Now we can move into things like marine. We lost our marine industry, at least the bulk of it, when some years ago in St. Thomas, when everything moved over to the BVI.
Right.
And you know, they still have yachts and stuff coming to St. Thomas in the summertime, but you know, we need to strengthen our marine and our boat building. I mean, we have a boat manufacturer here. You know, they build yachts right here.
Right here. Yes.
You know, between the Salt River and also the industrial park, and so we have a lot of work to do, and we got to move fast.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you mentioned the board members. Can you talk about you know, how many members and how do you get on the board and that kind of stuff?
All right, very good. Glad you asked that. First of all, the CTE board was created sometime around or just after 1950, if you can believe that. The U.S. House of Congress passed a vocational education law sometime back in. It started in 1936, and then it was improved in 1946. Well, when it was in existence, the outlying areas, the territories, Puerto Rico, Guam, you know, Northern Mariana Islands, they were not a part of receiving those benefits. In 1950, Congress went ahead and voted to extend those benefits to the outlying areas, and that's when the Virgin Islands was extended the opportunity to get some of those monies. And so at that point, that's when the board was created. That's when legislation was passed. So if someone wanted to read up on this, you know, CT board did not create itself.
Right.
It's been created by the VI code. You can begin by going to Title 17 on education, and then you look at the subchapter 1, and you will see 3 subchapters, 261, 262. And they will explain. One talks about the powers and duties of the board. The other talks about the acceptance of CT monies, or monies coming from the federal government, in order to help bolster and strengthen the programs that we have in the VI. In Title 3, under the executive branch, when you pull up education, you would find the description of the CT board, and because they placed the CT board under the Department of Education for administrative purposes some years ago, and we've been trying to get out from under that because it sort of stymies our ability to function properly. There are supposed to have been 9 members. This board is a 9-member board.
Right.
Currently, we have 6 members. We have 1 member from St. John, Mr. Ronnie Jones. You have currently we have 2 members in St. Thomas, Miss Eileen Garner, who also works at UVI Cell. You have Miss Adeline Williams, who is a teacher, business teacher at Charlotte Maya High School. And so we're missing 2 members in St. Thomas. Over in St. Croix, we have myself, and then we have Mr. Richard DeFede, who I mentioned. We have also Dr. Eddie Williams. And so we're missing 1 member on St. Croix. So there are 4 members for St. Thomas, 4 members for St. Croix, 1 in St. John.
St. John. Okay.
Then we have an ex officio member who is the director for the the adult education, the state director for the adult education, and the GED and so forth.
Okay.
And so that's an ex officio member. It's a non-voting member, but nonetheless, that's how that person sits on the board. How do board members get selected? They must be recommended by the governor. They're recommended by the governor, and then their names are sent down to the legislature for confirmation.
Okay.
How long has these positions been open now?
These positions have been open actually ever since I came on the board. I think I came on the board in 2006, I believe. And frankly, according to the code, members are supposed to serve a 2-year term or until the governor replaces them. And so we have a number of people right now, all of us have been on the board. Not that we want to get off. We would like to actually see some things happen. But if that time comes and we got to move on, then we move on. We're volunteers, by the way. We do not get paid for serving on the board. Members get a stipend according to the code.
Right.
Whenever they
meet
conduct business or they have meetings and stuff like that. But other than that, we're not paid. We're volunteers, and we come and we volunteer our time. And it's important for the community to understand how important volunteers are.
Definitely.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Volunteers bring their own energy. Volunteers come with their skills. They come with their expertise, and they bring it all to the table. And we're not here to fight anyone. We're here to partner, and we're here to help make sure our students are getting what they're supposed to get.
Yes.
Let me just mention that the board actually gets its operational funds by going to the legislature and defending our budget.
Okay. I was going to
over
ask about the funding, but
Yes.
okay.
We get funding from the legislature on an annual basis. The board really, according to code, is responsible for the monies that come from the federal government to the Department of Education. So the board has oversight responsibility, albeit for many, many years, the board has not been involved in how those funds are expended. And so I believe that if we gain, if we move back into having successful partnerships, and even if we transition and we may see a change in administration, which is coming up possibly in January, we should not affect the successful things that are taking place to help our students.
Okay.
If we affect them just because of politics, then we are failure.
Yes.
And I'm going to say it straight up. That's exactly how it is.
Okay. Okay.
So is this a functioning body? Is this body stay functioning year round, or you just only meet at a certain time?
Year round. The board has 3 office workers. There are 2 in St. Croix, 1 in St. Thomas. We have 2 offices, by the way. One office is located in Niski Center.
Right.
It's Suite 210 at Niski Center. And we have 1 person there in that office. And board members, because we're volunteers from time to time, whatever needs to be done, aside from meetings, we would go into the board and accomplish it. In St. Croix, the office is located in the Science Farm Commercial Center. And we, I'd like to give out the number.
Go ahead.
All right, the number in the St. Thomas office is 714-7437. 714-7437. And in St. Croix, it's 719-0031. 719-0031. And you can call us if you need information and reach out to us. The office is always able to find me or one of the other board members.
Let me ask you this: I know we have private schools here on the island too. Do the private school has a career technical component to it too? Also,
some of the private schools may have some small programs, and it is of great concern to me. I'll tell you 2 things. Many of the private schools are considered college prep school.
right?
Well, I mean, irrespective of whether you're college prep or otherwise, a student can have their eyes set on maybe entering a technical school.
Yes, definitely.
So I have found that it might be considered for them a great expense for them. But I will tell you that by law, every student in the Virgin Islands should have access to all career and technical education programs that are funded by the federal government in our schools. They do have access to them. Matter of fact, when we had the CT Academy there at the CTEC Center, we marketed to the high schools that are private,
Right.
and did get students. Matter of fact, our very first graduate, when we had the first graduating class in 2010, the valedictorian of the class was a private school student.
Okay.
He attended AZ Academy.
Okay.
All right.
What career did he take up?
He took up the mechanical career.
Okay.
And I believe, they've all graduated from the Texas State Technical College. Some of them working. I know he's working for
Right.
sure. So private schools, I really would advocate that they start seriously sitting down and looking at, even if it's from an introductory standpoint or an exploratory standpoint, they should expose their students, especially the ones that are interested in career and technical education. I do have a grandson that attends one of the private schools, and I intend to go by and sit down and have a chit chat with them.
Okay.
Because I think it's important.
So how does that work? So if someone, for example, goes to, I don't know, Country Day. So this is a high school student in Country Day. They would have some time to go over to the complex during the afternoon hours for the actual class.
The school, in this case, as you mentioned, Country Day, would have to provide that accommodation.
Okay.
And so what we did, we had some students from Free Will Baptist. We had students from AZ Academy. We had students from St. Patrick in all of the years that we ran that program. What happened is that we spent some time dialoguing with the school when we went to do the marketing. We marketed to those schools, and then we sat down and informed them how the schedule was going to be put together. And they worked it out for the students.
Right.
And
Okay.
it turned out to be a win-win situation, and the students performed well in their programs as well as they performed well in our program. So
Okay.
it's a question of, one, providing the accommodation, two, working out the transportation logistics, and ensuring that the schedule can be adjusted in such a way that the student can attend. I don't think that we should inhibit our students from learning as much as they can learn.
Yes, for sure, man.
That's a good question, very good question.
Yeah. You talk about, as far as the budget goes, you go to the Senate to get some money approved, but how does the federal money tie into this? So you're getting money from the local government and also from the federal government as well?
Yes, the federal government's money goes to the Department of Education. They've combined their funds that they receive from the U.S. Department of Education, along with the funds that come in from the Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Act, as amended 2006. So that is the same act that provided monies to all of the states and territories to help strengthen their CTE programs. So obviously you've got a lot of guidelines, in terms of what needs to be done, what can be done, allowable expenses, and so forth. But what happens is the money goes to education, and education now through the state office works at ensuring that their programs in St. Thomas and the programs over here are supported. The adult programs also are supported from those monies. It may not be able to pay the salaries of a lot of individuals, but it actually covers some staff, and there's some stipulations and guidelines.
Right.
So what we want to do is we want to leverage resources. We believe that monies that come in and monies that the department has, that it allocates for its CT programs, plus the monies that the board gets, once we make some determinations about line items and what we need to expend those monies on, then we believe that we should have some dialogue between departments and even Board of Education, so that we can leverage our resources. Leveraging certainly means across departmental lines. In other words, we don't separate and say, well, this is the money we got, and that's all we're going to spend it within our department. We're not going to join up with another department to make sure that it's effective. I think if we come together, there are some expenses that we can share together and have a better outcome as opposed to standing alone.
Right.
Okay.
I remember a statement that, and I was just reading it just earlier, just a few weeks ago, it might have been from a basketball player, and here's a statement. It says, "One of us is not smarter than all of us."
One of us is not smarter than all of us.
And I love it.
Yes.
All of us put together, we take all of our experiences and all of our wisdom and whatever, and no one person in that group can say I'm smarter than all the rest of y'all.
Yes.
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 It doesn't matter how how many people have degrees and how many don't have degrees.
Yes.
Can I tell you a quick story? A little boy was standing looking at a problem that apparently some engineers were having. They were moving a very, very large piece of equipment on a truck.
Uh-huh.
And when they got to a bridge, it was 6 inches too high. 6 inches. The equipment was 6 inches too high to get up underneath the bridge. And so they brought in all these people, and this little kid just rode up on his bicycle, and he's just standing there watching them. And they're having all these discussions in terms of how we're going to get this piece of equipment, how we're going to get past the bridge. What do we have to do? And while they're sitting there, the little kid rides up on his bike. He says, "Hey, what's you guys' problem?" He says, "Kid, get out of here. You don't know what's going on here." He said, "Well, I want to tell you. Why don't you guys just let the air out of the tires?" He jumped on his bicycle and he rode off.
Right there.
And that was the solution. So sometimes we think other people, this person doesn't have a degree, or this person. Well, I'll tell you, all we have to do is spend some time talking with people, and we find out that they have great ideas.
Yes.
It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter where we come from. It's not a question of where we come from. It is a question of the fact that we exist in this community, and all of us have a part to play.
And we are here right now.
And we're here right now.
Yes.
So why don't we just let people play their part, and let's all be excited, because we can all walk away and says everyone can benefit, everyone can celebrate, because we got it done.
Yes. We're going to take a quick break, Dan. This is the HO Perspective Talk Show. It's about 9:01 p.m. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right. We are back. This is the HO Perspective Talk Show. It is Thursday, September 4th, 2014, about 9:03 p.m. Our guest tonight is Dan McIntosh. There he is. Moving on here, Dan, when we just on break there's a few things you said you wanted to sort of make the public aware of.
Yes, absolutely. The board is currently involved in a number of projects, or at least some things that we consider to be priority.
Right.
That's going to help our students. So first of all, we have already launched the effort to build a website. We're a little bit behind on it. We should have already rolled it out, and we've got some of the information already turned in to the person. But I'm going to be stepping on this, because we need to get that out. We need to get information out to the public so that people can know what is taking place in our schools and what's happening with our students. So we're building a website for the CT board, and you're going to have that out probably before the end of this month. The other thing that we're doing in terms of programs, we are busy about, and you heard us mention in the discussion about the aviation program.
Yes.
We're working with the department, and we would like to launch an aviation maintenance program, so we're working on that. And that would be a program that will be in both districts.
Okay.
The other program that we're working on, Innovative, as part of its EDC benefit, last year was required to donate $200,000 to the board. And so what the board is doing, we have set out to develop a telecommunications program in both districts, in as many of the schools as we can. The $200,000, there is expected to be some more monies coming, but along with some of the board's own money, we have already launched the effort to build this program. We already have a curriculum for the secondary school, and we're going to be moving forward. We have already looked at some of the instructors, and so we're prepared to do that. So that's a major initiative right now.
Right.
That within a matter of months we should be able to launch this program. We're looking at reviewing all of the curriculums that we have. We have some curriculums in our schools where they're too old. They have not been updated. In some cases, we have some programs that are operating just simply by the teacher knowing the materials and having a textbook. So we want to go in, and we're taking a look at all of the curriculums. We're going to update. We're going to, jettison the ones that are certainly outdated, and really try to get the right curriculums and with the right frameworks in. So that's a review process that we've been talking about for a while. We're also going to include a program audit, which would mean we will go in and take a look at a specific program. So if we have a carpentry program, we're going to look at what is the curriculum. We're going to look at the teacher certification. We're going to look at the condition of the shop. We're going to look at the curriculum, as we said, textbooks and so forth. We'll do a proper evaluation of all the programs in those schools, and then we will now make some recommendations for some improvements, make some recommendations to the department for elimination, for conversion, and so forth. We're also looking at teacher professional development. We have teachers that have been in the system for a long time and have not had an opportunity. Now, a teacher has a responsibility to make sure that they keep up with the industry.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
But in some cases, we find that sometimes teachers don't even pay attention to it. I'm just there. I'm going to keep on teaching with what I have. But I think if we improve curriculums, then of course it's going to influence the teacher to say, hey, wait a minute,
Yes,
I don't know this stuff. I need to get caught up on it.
Definitely.
So we're prepared to look at developing a plan. In our discussions with the commissioner, her recommendation is that why don't we come up with a plan and let's discuss it. Let's come up with a plan in terms of how we believe we can improve our teachers and provide them with some professional development. So we've got some efforts already on the go in that regard. So we're building up teacher professional development. We're also going to continue to forge good and strong partnership relationships, collaborative relationships between the Board of Education, CT Board, the Department of Education, Workforce Investment Board. Matter of fact, just recently, I didn't mention it, but I also serve on the Workforce Investment Board. And just recently, Congress passed the Workforce Innovations and Opportunities Act.
Right.
So they reauthorized what previously was known as the Workforce Investment Act, and there are major changes that has taken place. So one of the things that they did, they combined the U.S. Department of Education, they combined the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the Department of Labor. They all combined together, and then they came up with some recommendations to Congress.
Oh, okay.
So which means coming out, when that law has now been passed, we cannot anymore continue to work in silos. We have to work together because now all three of those departments, and I'm not sure if there's another one, but they all work together and they came up with some recommendations to Congress, and that's what you have out of that. One of the other problems that we have is our programs at the junior high school level. Some of our programs are in atrocious shape. They're in bad shape. We're losing teachers. When we lose a teacher at junior high, we cannot replace them. At least this is what we're told by the department. And so we have a problem there. So we want to go in there, take a look at those programs.
You're talking about home economics, woodworking,
yes,
all of those stuff.
What they referred to in the past as industrial arts
right.
is no longer there. And we've been out to 3 schools, our 3 junior high schools in St. Croix, and I found that we don't have any carpentry programs. We have no construction programs. None. All right? And that is not at all good for any of our students,
yes.
Particularly our males.
Males, yes, because when I was coming up, I had woodworking. I took woodworking, and woodworking was there, so
it's not in existence, and we have to get those programs back up. And we have some recommendations, we have some ideas, and we want to have those dialogue with the department so that we can get those programs going. And then last of all, we're working on creating a CTE type of career pathways. All right, a pathway systems mean that and especially when the website is up, and of course it'll probably be on the department's website or whatever. Whenever we take a program, let's take an aviation program. What we're going to do is once we develop a pathway, it shows the student. You come out of junior high school and you get into high school, you have now your requirements for graduation. So you know the courses that are required by law and by the Board of Education. And now you have your opportunities to develop your career. And now we want to show you the avenues that you can take. You can now take, if you want to go into carpentry, now these are the courses that you have to take in carpentry. And this is how you are connected to either directly into the workforce or directly into a post-secondary institution to continue. You might want to go into construction management. All right. So we want to show them an entire pathway that leads all the way through, and show them all of the other areas that carpentry may be applicable. All right. So in that framework, it's going to help a student to see they can plan their career and know exactly, okay, now I see what it is that I'm going to be doing, rather than just I'm working
Flinging it right.
yeah, I'm just winging it, flinging it.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I've realized in I think it was 2 years ago, I went up to a conference in the U.S. and having a dialogue with the teachers on the bus. We were going to visit the school, and it dawned on me that we have not encouraged our students to dream. Our students don't dream.
To dream, right.
They don't dream about the future, because if you're not looking at, let's say a person can say, well, I'm going to be an electrical engineer. Well, if you're going to be an electrical engineer, that's going to cause your futuristic goals to begin to salivate. You begin to think about it. You begin to think about, see where you're going to be in a certain amount of time as an electrical engineer.
And what you got to do, what the process you got to go through, and all of that.
Precisely. We've got to get our students dreaming. You got to dream about the future.
Yes.
You got to see themselves. I can see myself. If I ask a student, where do you see yourself in 5-10 years from now? Most of them, they can't tell you.
They can't tell
you. They don't know.
Yes.
And if you don't have, what do they say? If you don't have, if you don't plan,
you fail
to plan.
You plan to fail.
Plan to fail.
Yes.
So I think we need to begin to help our students to dream and get them on the right pathway. And I think I'll tell you, Fred, as a minister, God is going to judge some of us. God is going to judge us because we have failed our students.
Right.
And I don't want to be among them. I want to be a successful individual just to come alongside and assist them, because I know how I got help. I know the people that came to me and encouraged me and says, I like what you're doing.
And that's what we need more of. To tell the kids now, we need more of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, we need more of that. I wanted to ask you too, and I don't know if this sort of falls in line with what we're talking about, but the NCCER program. Can you talk a little bit about that? An option or?
Yes. When we talk about NCCER, what we're talking about is a curriculum system and an excellent framework that if it is employed at a school, it would work for the student. First, because there is an accreditation attached to it. So if a school wants to use it, and I was made to understand that there's some schools that right now we're trying to move some of the programs in. The telecommunications program, we are actually planning to use the electronic systems technician program that NCCR has. So which means that this instructor has to be certified,
right? Because
we want the students to receive the credentials. Once they receive the credentials, then we're also going to look at connecting them to a post-secondary.
Right.
What we have done is we've already contacted a post-secondary entity and asked for them to take a look at the curriculum. It says we're familiar with it. We know what they have produced, and it is good. So the NCCER programs, all of their technical programs, they have carpentry, they have masonry, they have all the construction trades, they have electricity. And then they have a number of other crafts that respond to heavy industrial, respond to refineries, instrumentation. All right. They also have heavy highway construction programs. So they have a number of offerings. And if the schools, and our intent is to actually use their core curriculum, because it is considered an introduction to craft and introduction to becoming a skilled person. But
yes.
Even if they don't, they're going to learn basic safety. They're going to learn basic construction math. They're going to see how math works in construction. They're also going to look at hand tools. Know and the use and the safety and the care of hand tools, power tools. Introduction to blueprint reading. All of our students need to learn that. Just basic blueprint reading. A plan view, elevation views. And then also learn how to move equipment safely. Safety is number one. Safety is big. And we're going to be advancing, the board is going to be advancing a safety initiative coming up here and we didn't mention it in the Senate hearing, but it is connected to all of the programs. So we're going to actually be moving to encourage teachers to at least take at least the OSHA 10 or at least maybe a OSHA 30. We're going to discuss it, because if a teacher does not know while they're teaching what to keep students from, then we're going to have a big problem.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden somebody's going to have to be answering to OSHA why we did not have
yes.
proper safety, why we did not have proper eye wash stations, why we did not have guards on grinders and guards on pedestal grinders and so forth, which I have seen in some of our schools.
Okay.
So the safety in the NCCR core curriculum is going to be incredibly useful for students all across the board. So NCCR, we endorse it. I have actually been working with NCCR's material for quite some time, probably since maybe I guess 1998. And it's of great value. And I hope that we can get some of their programs, more of their programs in the schools.
In the schools, yeah. As these initiatives are getting into place, do you have enough, instructors to teach the various classes, or would you have to bring some people in?
That's one of the challenges that the department experiences, is having instructors, getting instructors to teach. Why? Because if you're working in an industry, let's say you're a licensed electrician, or you're working for an electrical contractor, and you're making probably $60,000-$80,000 a year. It's even though that you might want to say, I'd love to help these students, but when you go in, the department says, the HR department says, well, this is what the pay is. We're talking maybe $29,000, maybe $30,000. And so in most cases that is a turnoff. We are having some dialogue, and we're looking at different options. We're looking at creating academies that are connected to partnerships, such as what we had when Obensa was in operation. And so if we had those, we saw that we had some instructors that were being paid through the company because of the partnership.
Right.
We're looking at that. We're also looking at the possibility of having such a partnership with an entity such that they can say, look, we've got technicians. Why don't you take a look at our skilled technicians, give them a certification, and then we will work out an arrangement where they can come and teach the class in the period and have some prep time. And maybe we can work out something to where we have a partnership where we're going to pay the company for the use of that technical expertise for a specified period of time. So in other words, we're only covering part of their salary,
right?
And the company continues to pay for the balance.
Yes.
We've got to be creative. Today we cannot. I love a statement that I heard from someone. I don't know the name of the person, but they said, we no longer can work outside the box. We have to work as though there is no box.
Definitely.
Because there is no box.
That's right.
Yeah.
Somebody from India can take a job from somebody in the Virgin Islands.
Yep. You can't limit yourself.
There is no box.
Yeah, you can't put yourself on no limitation.
Correct. So we cannot limit ourselves to strictly what happens within our interactions and what has been happening over the years. We can't think outside our own norms. We need to think outside of our own norms. We need to hear what others are saying. We need to hear what business and industry is saying. Who's going to work those people that we provide? It's business and industry that's going to make a determination of whether they hire them or not.
That's right.
And if we don't involve them in, let's say, looking at our curriculums, saying, what do you think about this curriculum? They might say, we don't do that anymore. We don't fix these things anymore because it's cheaper for us to replace
them, right?
So we need to hear from them. We need to hear from chambers of commerce, and on what their needs are.
Right.
And we need to tailor our training, tailor our curriculum to suit what they desire. And if we do that, I think we'll be successful.
Okay. Wow. Any more questions, Soup?
No, I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
Great.
Dan, anything in closing?
Well, I'd just like to encourage parents. I mean, we started out talking about parents. I want to encourage you. Number one, understand that just sending your child to school is not enough. So you need to go in, and I've seen some parents who have gone in and made some demands, because you are the one. It's your taxpayer dollars that are operating the school system. Do not allow just a principal or some counselor to make a determination about your child's career and their future.
Right.
You go in there, have that dialogue. When we begin to develop these pathways, it is going to demand that parents be involved. Parents, guardians. You say, well, I don't know what my child needs to do or not do. Well, that's what we have boards for. That's why we have, the various departments. You can get the information. If you come to the CT board concerning CT type, we can help you. That's why we exist. And so we want to be able to assist. So don't just send your children to school. Make sure that you understand. Take a look at your child. Look at them from small. You would see what they're interested in.
Right.
They'll begin to look at some things that you might wonder, well, why are they looking at that? Why are they so interested in tools? Or why are they so interested in music? Why are they so interested in certain things? It'll tell you where their interest lies. Secondly, one of the things that should happen at junior high school, and we're hoping to really make sure that it is happening, it is that they must have what they call an interest inventory, career interest inventory. What that does, it gives the student somewhat of an assessment, and they have some tools that they use for that ask them certain questions, and based on their answers, they can pretty much give them an idea of what their strengths are and what they might be more interested in, or what might best suit them in terms of a career.
Okay.
All right. So that is also an area that is important. So as a parent, take some strong interest in your child's career. It's not just going and learning your arithmetic and learning your math. It is knowing what that child is going to become beyond high school. High school diploma is not the end all. I went to a conference, I think 2 years ago, and one of the statements that was made, and you'll find this to be a frightening statement. This individual said, a high school diploma is a ticket to the poverty line. A high school diploma by itself is a ticket to the poverty line. That's what was said.
And I understand that very well.
Absolutely.
I could relate to that very well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's do better. The last thing I would say, not only to parents, but to teachers and professionals and you who are out there, if we fail to develop our own intellectual and technical capital in the Virgin Islands, we're going to lose our economy. If in the next 10 to 15 years, if we survive,
right,
we're going to lose our economy because of how many young men are just walking out of school and ended up on the streets. Your economy is built by the technical people who come out of school and have an interest, and they move on into post-secondary or move on directly into a technical school, or they move into the workplace. If you had 80% of your population, working population, or 50% of your working population just strictly trying to get a job at McDonald's, working for minimum wage, you're dead in the water. Pretty soon you're going to have to lay people off of the government. You cannot keep on borrowing. Yes. Your money comes from private sector.
Yeah.
And the private sector is built by people who are technically savvy, they are well trained, well educated, and they can move into the workplace.
You can start a business.
And start a business. Yeah. Entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
That's where our money comes from. So if we want to keep this alive, if we want to keep our Virgin Islands strong economically, then we need to develop our technical and intellectual capital at our schools. We can do it. We need to stop playing the games that we're playing. We need to get serious about our own livelihood. Yes, we're going to train people, and they may leave the Virgin Islands, and they may never come back. But I guarantee you, and I repeat as I close, a statement from an individual and I never forgot the statement. It was made by an AT&T executive. Forgetting his name now because I just went online and pulled it up again. Here's the statement. If the pace of change outside an organization become greater than the pace of change inside the organization, the end is near. I quoted that on the Senate floor. It says if we fail to recognize that the world has gone way past us in technology, in the way that we teach, in the manner in which we deal with our youngsters, in the manner in which we kill our CTE programs at our schools. We're in a knowledge economy. We're in a high-tech age. We're a high-tech economy. And if we don't, that's outside of us.
Yes.
The pace of change outside of the Virgin Islands and outside of technology has gone way past us.
Way past.
And we're dancing around fighting brother and sister, fighting men and women in having bickerings. We are wasting time, and the end is near. The end of our economy is near if we don't begin to recognize that we have to keep in step with the outside.
The outside world, yeah.
We must keep in step.
Yes.
And so I want to thank you, gentlemen, for this opportunity. I hope that someone heard, and I hope that your viewing audience, people who get on the net and take a look, I hope that we can see more action from you, more involvement in your child's education, and I continue to pray that God will bless us to come out from the mole hills and the places where we've been hiding, and get to know what's taking place with your children. Thank you, Judge, for having me on.
Yes.
Thank you, Dan, for coming in.
Yes, Dan. Our guest tonight is Dan McIntosh. He is with the VI Career and Technical Education Board. I want to say thank you, Dan, for giving us at least an hour and a few minutes of your time. Very informative. As promised, I'll have this up on YouTube tomorrow, and definitely encourage our viewers out there that missed the show tonight to take some time, over the weekend and listen to your show, to your segment, and all the other guests that we had as well. Our guest tonight is Dan McIntosh. Thank you very much. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.